This is Local 15 News.
It looks like Alabama's largest music festival could be moving out of downtown Mobile.
Yeah, the stages, the vendors, and all those wonderful musical acts are heading west to the fairgrounds for this year's Bayfest. Local 15's Christian Jennings kicks off our team coverage tonight.
She joins us now to explain why Bayfest organizers say the move is a necessary one. Christian?
Well, you guys, leaders say it was basically move it or lose it. Sir, we're all going to have to get used to the idea of it not being held in beautiful downtown Mobile, but they really felt like it was a necessary move. One of the big space concerns centered around this parking lot across the street from Bienville Square. It's normally home to the Miller Lite stage, but Bayfest leaders say a hotel developer purchased the land and actually plans to break ground over there this summer, so that space was just no longer available. Now, it was last night when the Bayfest Board of Directors voted on whether to move the music festival to the grounds or end it on a good note. With a 10-1 vote, the decision was made to keep the festival but move it out west. Of course, the grounds has its advantages, ample parking, and nearly 100 acres of land, actually giving the festival plenty of room to grow in the future. But you certainly don't have the hotels or restaurants around, and there are traffic concerns with holding it out there. President and CEO Bobby Bostwick says they looked at other options for months, but decided this was the best fit.
We thought about closing government, trying to tie in the Civic Center area, and there's neighborhoods there now around it. We cannot close Government Street for 3 days and nights, just for a few hours at a time. That's a state highway. It's just a, believe me, we've researched it to death.
Now, Bostwick says that contract hasn't officially been signed. They're still in the process of negotiating a few things, but the plan is definitely to move it out there. The festival will take place October 2nd through the 4th. Reporting live in downtown Mobile, Christian Jennings, Local 15 News.
Christian, thank you. This year will be the 21st annual Bayfest Music Festival. Bands have been hitting the stage since 1995. The festival has grossed more than $325 million for the Mobile economy since it started. Past headliners include B.B. King, Kid Rock, and Luke Bryan.
As you might expect, the move to the fairgrounds would have a significant effect on several businesses downtown.
More than 100,000 people flock to the area, bringing in a lot of money to some companies. Local 15's Jasmine Williams picks up our team coverage with how much the move will cost businesses. Jasmine?
Well, Kim, businesses, hotels, and bars have been the backdrop of Alabama's largest music festival for 20 years now. And now those thousands of people, concert goers, will be moving west to the grounds. Like you said, since 1995, officials say that Bayfest has brought in nearly $400 million worth of revenue to the city. Thousands of concert goers all coming to see the great bands. And as the city has grown, so has the festival. Carol Hunter with the Downtown Mobile Alliance said that the festival has run into growing pains and that there are less vacant lots and parking spaces than there were 20 years ago.
Downtown is such a dynamic environment, and it is changing all the time. And what this gives us is an opportunity.
Now, as far as the move, Bayfest officials say that the grounds will offer more on-site parking, room for RVs and food vendors. Hunter went on to say that they're already starting early conversations about shuttling people from downtown hotels to the grounds. Reporting live in downtown Mobile, Jasmine Williams, Local 15 News.
Jasmine, thanks, and be sure to keep it right here on Local 15 for more on this developing story. We will, of course, be sure to update you on air and on our website, local15tv.com.
Officers in Gulf Shores are warning visitors to think safety as spring break continues.
Yeah, potential lawbreakers are being reminded about the laws in place at the beach and the serious consequences for breaking them. Local 15's James Gordon joins us now. James, looks like officers are cracking down.
They are, Greg. Earlier this week, we told you about some spring break issues like illegal drinking, public intoxication, and a huge trash problem here on the public beaches and at the condos and behind the hotels. Well, today the Gulf Shores Police is making it known in every way possible that they are not playing any games. It's an all-out campaign that includes posting the latest spring break arrest on Facebook and hopes someone gets that message, that spring breakers get the warning.
Each morning this week, the jail's been full. They let a few out, and they fill it back up that evening.
More than 1,700 calls to the local police, most of them complaints during the first 2 weeks of March.
It's probably all alcohol related. fighting, drunken, disorderly, people urinating in public, things like that.
Not good for the city's image. Police are now deploying officers to patrol the beaches in the early afternoon hours when spring breakers start to crowd the beach. This group of seniors from Georgia College say they've seen the worst, but now that they are older, wiser, they too have a message for the troublemakers.
If you're 21 and you're responsible enough to drink, I feel like it should be okay, but when you get out of control and out of hand, then that's definitely a problem and stuff that the police should crack down on.
Locals who share the beach with spring breakers say trash is a big problem. The city has now doubled its trash cans. Even so, folks like Josie Milner has some advice for those who come to party but have no respect for others.
Be a little bit neat. Pick up your junk, plain English, and that's all I have to say. And enjoy the sun and have fun.
Police say they are serious about underage and irresponsible drinking. No warnings. They will fine you and they will take you to jail.
But if you are old enough to drink, you can't drink on the public beach or the public beach access. If you're at your condo or your beach house, we don't have, any say there as long as you're an adult.
Today's release by the Gulf Shores Police Department was titled, "This is Your Warning," and it was sent to all local media, newspaper, radio, television, as well as all the condo and hotel owners and managers, so they would post it on their Facebook and their social media to let their guests know all about the warning this spring break season. But now we're live in Gulf Shores. James Gordon, Local 15 News.
All right, James, thanks. Search continues tonight for the man accused of stealing from a local Walmart and then attempting a very daring escape.
Yeah, a customer caught it all on video. Brandon Lynn took out his cell phone when he witnessed a struggle between the man and an employee. That happened Wednesday at the store on Dawes Road. Lynn says he thought everything was over when the suspect was brought back into the store.
Yeah, the suspect was taken to a holding room where he apparently climbed into the ceiling to try and get away. Lynn says the guy knocked out the ceiling tiles. He dropped to the floor and ran away. He's accused of theft of property and harassment. He's still being wanted. He'll look for it tonight. No one was injured.
A former Pritchard City Council President Earlene Martin Harris says she is not guilty of perjury. Martin Harris was arraigned this morning. The charges stem from testimony she gave in a bankruptcy filing. Prosecutors say on the bankruptcy papers, Harris stated her home was in Daphne, but when she was asked by the DA in court if she lived in Daphne, she said no, she lived in Pritchard, where she served as a council person. That's where the perjury charge comes from. A Local 15 investigation showed Martin Harris going to and from a residence in Daphne and dropping her children off at a Daphne area school. Martin Harris declined to speak following today's hearing.
I haven't reviewed the evidence. What we have done is pled not guilty. She denies the allegations set forth in the complaint, and we're going to aggressively defend this case. In doing so, we're going to take this thing to trial.
Martin Harris is due back in court April 30th. If found guilty, she faces up to 10 years in jail.
It is a new debate at the University of South Alabama. Should students be allowed to carry concealed firearms on campus? Local
15's Madupe Idowu caught up with students and officials about the current school policy. Madupe?
Well, currently students who have a permit to carry a firearm, they can't bring it on campus, and some students tell me it's a violation of their rights and they want the university to consider changing its policies. Others say guns make them feel unsafe on campus. So a campus-wide email was sent out to USA students this week asking them this: should students who carry firearms be allowed to bring them on campus? And students part of the USA Concealed for Carry have started a petition online to allow permit holders to carry concealed handguns on public state-funded college campuses like USA.
I think it could be a good thing. Self-defense is always good.
Being a gun victim of myself, I've been shot before. So, I don't really agree with having guns on campus.
Now, the policy states no firearms are allowed in USA buildings. Employees with permits can bring firearms on the property, but they must keep it concealed in a vehicle, and students just aren't allowed to have them at all. Reporting live in the newsroom tonight, I'm Madupe Idowu, Local 15 News.
Hey, take a good look at this guy. Daphne police are looking for him. They need your help. He is wanted for fraudulent use of a credit card in the area. If you know who he is or where he might be, call police. The Presbyterian Church USA has approved gay marriage, but what exactly does that mean?
Local 15's Lauren Sarchapone spoke to a local pastor today. Lauren, the issue is much more complicated than we think.
Well, Kim and Greg, the pastor I spoke with today says Presbyterian Church USA has voted to amend the church constitution to define marriage as, quote, commitment between two people. But that doesn't mean each Presbyterian church is now required to marry same-sex couples. Down the street from probate court in the heart of downtown Mobile lies Government Street Presbyterian Church.
The amendment now permits pastors to conduct same-gender marriages.
Presbyterian Church USA is the oldest denomination of the church, and it voted to amend its constitution to now say marriage is defined as a commitment between two people. But Pastor George Sinclair of Government Street Presbyterian says this amendment just gives pastors the right to perform same-sex wedding ceremonies. It's not a requirement. Each Presbyterian church will decide which couples, whether gay or straight, can marry in the church.
In order to be married in Government Street, you have to be a member of the church. The couple comes to me, we have premarital counseling sessions, and then the governing body of the church approves the use of the church property. That's not going to change.
Pastor Sinclair says he does believe same-sex couples should have the same legal rights as heterosexual couples, but he doesn't want the definition of marriage to change in order to achieve that goal.
Our church has not formally taken a position, so I'm sure we'll be studying the question of how we would respond, but it would still follow the same rules of pastor has to agree and the session has to concur, and we would go from there.
Pastor Sinclair also tells me that this amendment only applies to Presbyterian churches that are in the states where same-sex marriage is legal. The Supreme Court will hear arguments regarding gay marriage on April 28th. Greg?
All right, Lauren, thanks. Alabama could soon lose control over the state's retail liquor sales. The numbers of jobs at stake if the bill becomes official.
Plus, the new partnership that's bringing furniture to families in need.